Hello and welcome to the Witching Hour, only on the Creepy Vault. Here we cover ghosts, hauntings, horror, supernatural, all that creepy stuff. And today we're going to be talking about a creepy haunted forest in Transylvania, Romania. You've probably heard of it. It's called the Hoia Baciu Forest. There's all kinds of accounts of missing people, UFO abductions, and weird phenomena going on there, and ghosts. We're going to specifically talk about these missing hikers that went in there, and there was about 5 of them, and one of them never came back. So we're going to cover that story. It's really eerie. There's also a really crazy area there. It's a clearing where nothing can grow. It's almost like the soil is cursed. And a lot of the stories from the Hoia Baciu Forest talks about trees that are twisted and unusual. People just get a really eerie, heavy feeling there. It's almost like the Bermuda Triangle. They call it the Bermuda Triangle Forest. People get lost, things happen. But before we get into this story, please subscribe and like my videos and my podcasts. I make all kinds of creepy short stories that are true accounts. And this podcast goes more into depth of true accounts in story form. And I make creepy songs about hauntings and ghosts and things like that. So please support my channel, like it, subscribe. There's a lot more to come. I love all this kind of horror and creepy stuff. So let's get into this. Few places in the world radiate a sense of dread like Hoia Baciu Forest in Romania. It's one of those places that lodges in your mind, especially when you hear the stories. None more chilling than that of the group of college friends who vanished into its depths one late August day in 1999. It was August 18th, 1999, a Wednesday, thick with lingering summer. 5 students from Cluj-Napoca, led by spirited, thrill-seeking Alisa, decided to go on what they believed would be just a memorable hike, a daring escapade before leaving Romania behind for their last burst of freedom. Alisa was always captivated by the unknown, especially local legends, and the Hoia Baciu Forest's reputation as the Bermuda Triangle of Transylvania sounded like a siren's call. The rest of the group acted casual, even flippant, as they made plans over coffee that morning. Underneath, though, their nerves shivered with anticipation, and something more, a creeping disquiet that none of them would voice. They arrived at the forest's edge by 3:30 p.m. Packs heavy with snacks, bottled water, and a sense of half-dismissed anxiety. The town and the comfort of the known faded behind them as they stepped beneath the tangled canopy, their world growing markedly silent. Not even summer insects dared to hum within these woods. The trees seemed stitched together by shadows, their limbs beckoning them onward. Already an hour in, around 4:30 p.m., the forest was smothered in an unnatural stillness. The group navigated a rough, unmarked path, barely speaking. A chill lingered in the air. Despite the August warmth, Alisa, radiant with curiosity, guided them toward the infamous clearing, that bald circle locals warned of, said to repel both life and luck. It was nearing 5 p.m. when they crossed its edge. The clearing was more unsettling than they'd imagined. A patch of dead earth, the trees bent away from its center as if recoiling. It was here, on the fading cusp of afternoon, that things changed. Jamie's phone suddenly grew hot in his pocket, hissing as if it disagreed with the forest's silence. Natalie's smart watch erased itself, time blinking away. One hiker felt their chest squeeze. Another noticed their vision darken at the edges. Elisa, unfazed, urged the others, let's push deeper. Just 20 minutes more, I promise. The sun began its descent, turning the world gold, but somehow draining the courage from every step forward. They moved onward, planning to leave before dusk, certain they'd return to their hostel by nightfall. But as the group walked single file down a narrowing, dim path, somewhere between 5:20 p.m. and 6 p.m., Elisa vanished. No sound, not even the crackle of leaves. She was just gone. The realization broke over them in a rolling panic. One moment, Elisa's familiar silhouette was there. The next, the forest had erased her. Fear took them over, cold and numbing. The group began searching, first with frantic, logical calls, then with shouts that seemed to die a foot from their mouths. Muffled by the heavy air, a creeping sensation pressed in, as if the forest itself watched and steered. Somehow, time lost its meaning. What felt like minutes stretched into near an hour as daylight faded away. By 6:40 p.m., the remaining hikers found themselves exhausted, hopelessly turned around, feeling an ache in their stomachs and the metallic taste of adrenaline in their mouths. Two claimed to hear their own names, or Elisa's whispered from behind twisted trees, always from a direction shrouded in darkness. Jamie checked his watch, but it flickered and died, just as the map had become unreadable in the thickening gloom. Suddenly, as if spat out by the woods, they emerged at the tree line in the blue light of dusk, somewhere between 7:30 p.m. and 8 p.m. Not one of them recalled how they'd made it there. Their arms and legs ached, skin marked by fresh scratches and darkening bruises they could not account for. Hearts thudded with dread and awe in equal measure as the realization hit. Elisa was still missing. Not only that, but all of them now struggled to remember basic details of the day. What Elisa had worn, the color of her backpack, even the jokes they'd shared at the edge of the clearing. Authorities were called. Sirens pierced the night as search teams rushed to the forest edge by 9 p.m. But no trace was ever found. No phone, no gear, no footprints leading deeper in or back out. The group's timeline, pieced together in interviews, revealed gaps and memory lapses that made no earthly sense. They had entered at 3:30 p.m. and emerged nearly 5 hours later, disoriented and changed, but with swaths of collective memory wiped away. The event remained shrouded in folklore. Its date, August 18th, 1999, etched into local legend and the forest's long shadow. Sometimes late at night, the survivors say they dream of that day. In those dreams, Elisa stands just inside the tree line, hand outstretched, her face both familiar and blurred, as if the forest is still trying to erase her from memory entirely. Hoia Baciu Forest keeps its secrets. What happened in those hours between sunshine and nightfall became yet another warning whispered along the edge. Do not follow the missing, and do not tempt the place where even time itself unravels. What an unsettling story. So that account was back in 1999. And they say never go in there at night. The Hoia Baciu Forest just swallows you up. People seem to, like I said, say that there's a heaviness in the air and that there's just this weird blank kind of drape that goes over your mind and your memory, and you tend to forget things, like time lapses. People can also see shadows and people in the trees and the twisted trees. It's just a really eerie place. There's been ghost hunters that have gone there that have investigated things. Anyway, what a story. I'm sure that those other 4 hikers that made it out were definitely investigated and questioned about the whereabouts of that missing hiker, Elisa. Whatever happened to her, only the forest knows. The Hoia Baciu Forest of Transylvania, Romania. Let's go over a few things, some other things about this creepy forest. So, like I said before, it's often called the Bermuda Triangle of Transylvania, like Europe's Bermuda Triangle. The iconic clearing was mentioned. Deep in the woods lies a large, nearly perfect circular clearing. Nothing grows there, not even weeds. Soil analysis have found nothing conclusive to explain the barren spot, and locals believe it is a hub of paranormal energy. So that's kind of the threshold before you go into the forest. There's the twisted trees. Trees throughout the forest are unusually gnarled, bent at sharp, unnatural angles, as though twisted by unseen forces. This phenomenon delights paranormal enthusiasts and botanists alike, as no satisfactory natural cause has been identified. And the atmosphere, the area is said to have an oppressive, eerie feeling. Visitors commonly report a sensation of being watched, sudden cold spots, and unexplained anxiety that vanishes upon leaving the forest. Legend versus science. Local legend. Many residents believe the forest harbors supernatural forces, ghosts, alien portals, or even a curse. Scientific perspective. Some scientists theorize that natural electromagnetic fields, rare plant pathogens, or psychological suggestion could explain the phenomena, but no definitive proof exists to debunk the local myths. The Hoia Baciu Forest remains one of the world's most mysterious and chilling places, a magnet for the paranormal, for those eager to test their courage or simply to marvel at nature's strangest anomalies. Even skeptics admit that walking through the twisted trees and haunted clearings, one cannot help but feel the forest's eerie influence. So here are some more accounts. There's a famous disappearance of a shepherd. One of the most repeated yet still mysterious legends tell of a shepherd who entered the forest with his flock of 200 sheep. None were ever seen again. Despite much retelling and a prominent place in local lore, there are no official records, only that this mass disappearance is said to have inspired the forest's name, the Bermuda Triangle. The time-traveling girl. Multiple sources mention a case where a 5-year-old girl vanished in the forest and reappeared years later in the same clothes, unchanged, and with no memory of where she'd been. No official documentation supports this, but the tale persists and is often highlighted as evidence of missing time or interdimensional slips. Paranormal sightings and experiences. Ghost apparitions. Many visitors report seeing women in white, shadowy figures, children playing at the edge of vision, and sometimes the specter of the missing shepherd. Shadowy entities are often glimpsed, and disembodied voices, giggling, or even shrieks are commonly heard around dusk or at night. Physical effects on visitors. Numerous eyewitnesses say that severe anxiety, headaches, rashes, scratches, and nausea strike suddenly and vanish soon after leaving the forest. Electronics regularly malfunction, phones go dead, compasses spin wildly, and batteries drain with no cause. Unexplained memories. Some people claim to remember things they'd forgotten while inside, only to forget those memories upon leaving. After spending time in the forest, they recall feeling lost in time or unable to account for hours spent wandering. UFO sightings and alien encounters. UFO photographs. The forest achieved worldwide attention in 1968 when Emil Barnia, a military technician, captured a photo of a silver disc hovering above the clearing, a photograph that remains unexplained to this day. Many since have reported strange lights and hovering craft, turning the forest into a UFO hotspot. Strange orbs and lights. Beyond Barnia's photo, visitors frequently see unexplained floating orbs and flickering lights in the trees. Some report beams of light shining down from the sky with no apparent source. The haunted clearing and twisted vegetation. The dead zone, the circle, a perfect circle in the forest where nothing grows, believed by many locals to be the epicenter of the paranormal activity. Soil analysis haven't explained the infertility, and it's where most ghost sightings and strange sensations occur. Unnatural tree growth. All over the forest, trees are twisted, spiraled, and bent in unusual, contorted ways. Botanists have failed to find a definitive natural explanation, a feature that adds to the forest's bizarre, otherworldly vibe. And we've mentioned some of those other things, but that's some other details. Documented group experiences. We talked about the 1999 paranormal incident. A group of hikers explored the area near the infamous clearing and experienced sudden cold spots despite summer weather, devices losing battery or acting erratically, disembodied footsteps, whispers, and laughter around them, feelings of panic and being watched. They left the forest with unexplained scratches and bruises and no clear memory of some events. Many of these stories blur the line between legend and fact due to a lack of conclusive documentation, yet they persist due to the sheer number of similar accounts from locals, tourists, scientists, journalists, and paranormal investigators. Hoia Baciu Forest remains a magnet for curiosity seekers, many of whom leave with their own strange stories. So that is all the creepy and weird accounts that have been documented about the Hoia Baciu Forest. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. And until next time, stay creeped out, my friends.